Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be doing the question time answers that were posed a few days ago for June 2025. So, first up, we have After Lord. So, they've said, since you're into Brandon Sanderson, you should read the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. Sanderson is like Jordan's number one fan and even wrote the last 3 books in the series after Jordan passed away. That is actually something I was recommended at some point. I don't know, I think this was in high school. I think people were recommending me Wheel of Time, but I recall I was more interested in science fiction, at least at that point, and then I kind of drifted away from fantasy, and it's only just recently I kind of got back into fantasy, which was through Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer, and I've actually started reading Mistborn, and I'm maybe 70, 80 pages into it. I only started yesterday, and it's pretty darn exciting, and I think my friends have all the books, so I should have lots of reading, but I might pick up Wheel of Time possibly. Another thing that I was possibly thinking of maybe reading is I enjoyed the TV show The Expanse, but I know it was based off of a book series, and I have access to those books as well, so maybe I might even start reading those perhaps after Mistborn and whatever the subsequent books after Mistborn are, but I will definitely keep the Wheel of Time in the back of my mind. Dom is saying, one question they've always had is how did I end up with the light water attribute in my personal pad card, and why those 2 colors? If I had to make a new one now, what would I change the colors? If so, which ones would they be? Well, I think it's because when I first... My favorite color is blue. Whenever I play games, if possible, I'm always going to be blue team, blue person, blue whatever it may be. So that's why there is the blue attribute in my little icon, so to speak. But the reason why it's yellow-blue is because long ago, Sakuya was my most important and most powerful leader I had in my account. So because of that, I thought that she was super cool, and she was yellow-blue and, blue at some point. So I was like, this is a nice color scheme. And to a certain extent, yellow-blue, I feel like in games can almost be associated with kind of purity, harmony, peace, harmonious or whatever. They're just kind of the good guys, so to speak, and I usually feel like I like to be the good guys in whatever I do, so maybe there's a bit of that color scheming, but that's kind of the way it is. And if I had to make a new one now, it's probably would be blue first then yellow after, at least because I like blue more. But again, like I said, Dom, it was because I liked Sakuya so much long ago. Deadly Toaster Oven says, I love all the Brandon Sanderson books. Oh my goodness, they seem to be popular. And if you ever feel like you ever want to break from his larger work, Stormlight Mistborn, highly recommend Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. It's one of his standalone books. And also, do I like anime? If so, what are my favorites? Well, I'll keep Yumi and the Nightmare Painter in the back of my mind there, Deadly Toaster Oven, for sure, because I'm always on the hunt for more exciting books. And I must confess, I've never actually watched anime. I grew up in a household where watching TV was heavily frowned upon. It wasn't a thing. We never had cable. We had a TV, but I also didn't have video games. Wasn't TV watching. It was just not a thing. So I didn't grow up watching stuff. So even in my adult life, I actually don't watch things. I can't remember the last time I watched something on a streaming service. I haven't downloaded anything illegally because I wouldn't obviously do that, but I still wouldn't do it anyways because I'd rather just play video games in my spare time. To me, playing video games is kind of my relaxing, turn off my brain mode, so to speak. So I actually can't answer what my favorite anime is because I've never really watched any, unfortunately. Duncan Robertson says, how did I learn to cook? And when you cook, do you follow recipes, measure, use timers, etc., or just go by vibes? Well, I learned to cook because I moved out on my own when I was 19, and at the same time, I was quite interested in food, nutrition, and health. So some self-research, some academic courses, etc. I technically actually have a bachelor's in science in food, nutrition, and health. So there's some food knowledge ingrained in me no matter what, so to speak. And at the same time, I am reasonably picky, so to speak, with what I eat. And by cooking, I can control what my food tastes like, what I put in my food, because I'm trying to be reasonably conscious of what I put in my body if possible. I do go when I go to grocery stores, if I don't buy, or if I'm buying things that are not just raw ingredients, so to speak, I'll read the ingredient list to see does this contain things I like or dislike. And I'll just skim through it to see if it's acceptable, so to speak. So that's where I started to learn to cook. And again, when I moved out when I was 19, you had to, cook a lot on your own as well. So you learn through just experience. And now I am 35, so I've had 16 years plus of basically cooking, so to speak. And then when I cook, I don't actually follow recipes. If anything, I might look up, say, like cooking times and temperatures, for instance. Like say, like I'll have like some chicken thighs I want to air roast. I will be like, well, how long does that take? I don't really know. I'll look it up online to see like what the cooking time is, what temperature, and then I'll just season it my own way. I don't actually measure stuff. I just, like, as you said, would go by like vibes, so to speak. Like, I just add things in. I kind of know the ratio of things at this point of what's going to taste good, but at the same time, you should always be tasting your food as you cook. And remember, add salt or salt equivalent products towards the end of cooking. You can add a little bit as you go, but don't over season it partway through, because generally speaking, to a certain extent, cooking, or the process of cooking, is actually the removal of water. Now, think about it. When you remove water, the volume of what you're cooking will shrink. It's rare that when you cook stuff, they gain volume. It's usually expelling water. Like, think of vegetables. When you cook vegetables, why do they shrink? Because vegetables are primarily water. So, with that idea in the back of your head, like, things are going to shrink and condense. If you season everything like perfectly while cooking, so to speak, if you cook it down, it's going to be more concentrated and it may not be as pleasant. And you can always add salt to things. You cannot realistically, you really can't take it out of stuff. So with that in mind, I don't like measure stuff. I just do things slowly and just taste as I go. And then I do use actually extensive use of timers. Like, I have like a microwave timer like directly in front of me, so I just put those on for however many minutes or seconds. And to a certain extent, when I do cook, I try not to touch stuff, because to us, like, also at the same time, like, color is flavor. So like, say you're sauteing some shallots. You want to leave them in the pan undisturbed for a little brief period of time to start getting that color on them, because think about it. Would you want to say, like, have ground beef that's kind of gray or ground beef that's kind of crispy and brown? Color is flavor. So I'd like leave them to sit there, put on like, say, a 1-minute timer, sit down in a chair that's in the kitchen and just let it cook for like that undisturbed, and then the timer beeps, stir it around, do it again. That's kind of what I do for cooking as well. So I do use timers, like liberally use timers, but measuring, following recipes, not quite so much by comparison. Ronald Tobar says they never played a lot of board games growing up, but one we got into in college was called Betrayal at House on the Hill, an absolute banger. What's my favorite? I've never actually played Betrayal. I've played, I feel like, other games similar to it, but never actual Betrayal itself. But at this point in time, if I'm just going to close this YouTube comment window really quickly here temporarily, actually you can't see, but up there, actually it's terrible lighting, but like, possibly one of my absolute favorite board games is Guards of Atlantis 2. It's a tabletop MOBA, so it's a team versus team game, and it's card driven. If you ever played Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, think of that combat system, but instead of 2 cards a turn, it's 1 card a turn, and it's a team versus team format with like neutral like minions for each side that you try and kill to get money to level up. And in my opinion, it's one of my absolute favorite games. It's definitely my favorite game to play with other humans. I do play lots of board games solo. I do play Primal the Awakening a modest amount by myself. I played Voidfall lots of myself when I first got it, a little less nowadays. Like, I'd say Voidfall, Primal are kind of my 2 bigger solo games at this point, but prior to those 2 it was Spirit Island, and I still enjoy playing Spirit like 2-handed solo, but I have been playing Spirit Island quite a bit with like my Saturday group of friends. Like, it's their favorite game by far, I'd say. Like, Frosthaven, Gloomhaven was like the one after, I'd say, but Spirit Island is their favorite, so I end up playing quite a bit of Spirit Island with them still. So I don't play it as much solo, because I'm like, I'm getting a good amount of playtime with my friends, so to speak. So those are definitely the bigger games that I like at this point in time, and I definitely have been like making like miniatures, like 3D printing stuff for those respective games to blingify them, so to speak. King Patty says, if I could choose to win a gold medal in any Olympic sport, what would it be? I honestly don't know, because like prior to having my injury, I was actually quite into sports, like playing lots of badminton, started getting a bit back into soccer, bit of golf as well, and squash at the same time. So like, probably if you asked me back then, I would probably said badminton, because it was like the sport that I played. I played at a reasonably high level. I actually got 3rd one year for under 19 provincials, so it's like we have provinces in Canada, which is like states in the Americas, but there's only like 10 odd provinces or so. Like, so did reasonably well at a provincial level, didn't do well at nationals that year, and then I kind of lost motivation and interest to keep continuing. Like, I did play on the adult circuit for a bit, but, like, just provincially. So, like, I was, like, a reasonable level, but nothing spectacular. So, like, I probably would have said badminton, but maybe at this point in time, maybe golf, because it's technically in the Olympics now. And, like, in theory, golf would be the only activity I could possibly try and do, I guess, because it requires the least amount of movement. Michael Lore asks or says, "Hey, Mantastic, they used to play a fair amount of board games as well. When their friends all left Edmonton, we used to play Ticket to Ride all the time on Steam." Nice, I'm glad you're able to continue playing. "And themselves and their friends struggled to find quality board games on Steam, which is why we always played the same one. Are there any online board games you enjoy with friends?" I actually don't play online board games per se. Like, I do actually have Digital Spirit Island. And I know, like, Melvin, from one of the people in my Saturday group, he loves playing Spirit Island. He likes the digital version. But we never actually end up playing the digital version of Spirit Island. Instead, I would recommend, like, the other co-op games that I've played that are good. Or co-op-esque. Because, like, Civilization 6 is my second most played game on Steam, actually. And in theory, you could play as a team, so it could be cooperative. But to a certain extent as well, Civilization 6 is a board game in a video game format. So something to keep in the back of your mind, because Civilization 7 has also come out. Civ 6 should be much less expensive to buy. It also tends to go on sale for a comically low price, like under $10 Canadian. I think I got mine for something outrageously low like that. So I was like, this is fantastic. I've put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into it. So that's one recommendation. Other games that I've enjoyed playing with, I feel like my Saturday group is like the co-op oriented group for board games. So other games that we enjoyed other video games that we enjoyed that are kind of similar would be like Inkbound by Shiny Shoe Entertainment, Shiny Shoe. They make Monster Train 2, but Inkbound is basically like the combat system of Baldur's Gate 3, streamlined, simplified, made so much better in a roguelike format. That's all it is. It's extremely fun. You might enjoy it. It's turn-based strategy as well. I've also seen that Sunderfolk came out, and it does look appealing and interesting, but it's like a bit on the pricey side. I've like wishlisted it. Maybe if it goes on sale, I will pick it up, or maybe I will convince my like Steam family to like we all pitch in, because you only need one person to own Sunderfolk, and then everyone can play with that one person. So I might do something along those lines, but that would be my recommendations to take a look at, Michael. Sea of Jupiter says, "They said in my previous video I played Balatro," and they do as well. Fantastic choice. They have 2 questions. What is my advice to beginner and intermediate level players that are working through the low stakes and middle stakes? And then subsequently, what jokers should they use to get through those first antes? Well, maybe I feel like this would be definitely a topic I could talk more in greater detail in a subsequent video, because I can pinballing in the back of my head, like, can I make Balatro strategy videos? Because I'm pretty good at Balatro. Like, I'm nearly done C++ or completionist++. Like, almost everything's done, gold stickered. I've done every challenge, that sort of idea. I've actually played through most of the challenges, and I'll post them to YouTube soon. I didn't record the later ones yet, but point is, I think you need to, like, it's a balancing game in the early game of money versus power. You need money to buy power, so to speak, to continue winning, because you want to win as fast as possible. If you win in one hand, you make the maximum money, barring any other circumstances. So you will need to buy power to get you there, but you also want to make money at the same time. So it's a juggling game of, like, reaching that 25 in money to generate the maximum interest payment possible. Because once you start making that extra 5 money around, you can spend a bit more liberally. But it's a matter of racing to that 25 and getting to that 25. So it may often means buying nothing even in the first antes. Like in ante 1, you need 300, 450, 600 points to clear the respective round. And you can definitely get 300 in a single hand for the first one, so I usually go flushing. Flushing is times 4 multiplier, so I need 75 times 4 to equal 300. Flushing has a base score of, is it 35 or 40? Either way, it's 35. It's 35. And then you need to have your cards add up to 40 in order to make that flush equal to 300. So try and fish for that type of hand to win in one turn. You make the most money possible for that. And then when you go to the first shop, you were either, for myself, I'm on the lookout for either a economy joker that's actually going to make me money, because I'll have to spend money, which in turn will means I make less interest, but if it makes me money in return, it'll be worth it. or a joker that gives flat scoring, like an easy to score joker like flat multiplier, flat large number of chips. Just one of those, ideally flat multiplier, because then you can start winning the 450, the 600, and then maybe even possible sum of ante 2 in a single hand, which, yes, you did spend money to buy that joker, which means you're getting less interest, but at the same time, you're going to be winning faster, which will make you more money from the hands remaining. So I think that's what I would look for in ante 1, either something that's easy to get economy, or something that gives flat multiplier, or you can even make arguments for like something that has scaling potential, like something that you could easily scale long term. I feel like that'll be like the simplest like explanation I can give at this point, Sea of Jupiter, but I feel like I will try to address that in greater detail in the future. Thomas Walker says they also 3D print as a hobby, so their question is, what has my experience been with the world of 3D printing and modeling? Bonus question, how's the A1 Mini been doing for me? Well, for myself, it's been absolutely fantastic. I have printed so much stuff, like outrageous amounts of things. Like all of these boxes here, I'm going to just turn off the YouTube comments to show you can possibly see back here, like all these boxes here, which might be hard to see, and these boxes here, they're just actually full of, well, I printed box. It even says, wee, a box. You can't see anything. Take my word for it. But inside these boxes, I've been experimenting, but like I made like a bunch of scatter terrain, like pillars. So like scattered terrain for my various tabletop games. So there are a total of 9 boxes up there full of various terrain pieces ranging from pillars, obelisks, rocks, other kinds of rocks, another kind of rock, boxes, crates, all the good stuff. And it's been an absolute blast for me. Like, it's been a way for me to like learn a new skill, because when I got my 3D printer in like February-ish time frame, I had zero 3D modeling knowledge. Zero knowledge. I had to learn everything from scratch. And I've managed to learn actually quite a bit from scratch, so to speak. Like, it's been a lot of Googling, a lot of like very brief YouTube watching, like it's like typing like, how do I do this thing? Watch that little clip on YouTube, go back and do that thing, and then go back and ask another question. It's been like my learning process, but it's been an absolute blast for myself, like making scatter terrain, making like alternative sculpts for like tokens on board games. Also, I've been making inserts for board games, so now I can pull things out much faster, put them away quicker. I made a lot of wondrous stuff, actually. Maybe I could share those in the future if you think that might be interesting, Thomas. Maybe I'll try and show some stuff, or maybe even like walk through like me making something in Blender. We'll take a look, see what holds in store. But the A1 Mini's been great. It is obviously mini, so like I can't print much at once. Like some of the boxes I've made for my inserts, I only can print like the box itself, the base. I can't even print the lid with the box because they take up too much space. So it's a matter of finding other pieces to put alongside. But like if I had a bigger plate bed, I could definitely print more at the same time. Juan Gates says, am I a shooter fan? Sadly, no. I've never actually been into like first-person shooter style games. And can I mouse and keyboard? I can definitely mouse and keyboard. Like I can play Heroes of the Storm reasonably well, but maybe it's mostly because it's like just ingrained muscle memory. I've played it. Like I played MOBAs when I was much younger, so like MOBAs come quick to me, so maybe that's okay. But they continue saying that you notice you talk about exploring other games. Maybe you can try games your subscribers recommend, then you can give your feedback, what you like, what you don't like. Maybe a new game can stick. Yeah, I definitely agree. Perhaps like I can like I'm just gonna try and like play the games I currently enjoy at this point and just post about them. But at the same time, if any of my subscribers like have recommended games and I actually own those games, I can definitely try, because I do have Steam Family, so that does help. So I have access to more games. And Jay Piz is asking, do I make the bed this morning? Well, I'm going to go back in time to that 4 days ago when I posted this video, and I actually did make the bed, and I regretted my decision immediately, J-Piz, because I remembered that I said to myself, I'm going to be washing my bed sheets. So, unfortunately, I made the bed, had to unmake the bed to strip it from its bed sheets to put into the washer dryer, and then make it again. So I didn't make it just once, but I made it twice that day. And of course I made it today as well. The reason why J Piz asked this question is because long ago, he did stream Pad at some point, and when he turned on his webcam, you saw this great-looking guy in a terribly untidy, messy room. His bed was not made, and I was like, oh my goodness, you should make your bed, because it was taking up a large part of the actual screen that he was on, and to me, it was distracting. So I always tease him about making his bed, and then in the future stream, he did make his bed, and it looks so much nicer. And then the last question is Pally saying, do I still play Fire Emblem Heroes or Creature Quest? And if not, what other gacha games do I play right now? I actually stopped playing both of those games long ago. I don't even remember when I stopped playing them. It was many years ago. And after I stopped those, I never picked up any other gacha. And with Pad is like probably the last gacha I'm going to play. Because I just don't like the gameplay loop of gacha games anymore. Now, with that being said, hopefully all you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there in the audience have a truly fantastic day. Thank you so much to everyone who did ask questions, and I look forward to next month's. And with that being said, hopefully all have a fantastic Friday, and happy puzzling.